All right, here. I am excited to be able to get my friend from Caliber Home Loans, Gale Grant, here on this little Zoom uh, call here because here's what's happening is there are a lot of things that are changing with the market, with real estate, mortgages, information changing, all that sort of stuff. And so, what I want to do is hopefully bring a level of help and comfort and insight to folks to understand what is going on and what does it mean, because uh, it's still a strong market here in the northern Kentucky area. I've still got several clients, some of you may come across this video, who are out there looking to buy. I've still got sellers who are wanting to sell. I wrote a contract for one client just over the weekend and we got outbid. And when we submitted our offer, I was told that there were three others. So real estate market is still strong. There's my man, Gale Grant. Gale, how are you, my friend?
I'm doing well. Good to see you, Devin.
So I was just kind of introing and setting this up here for folks that are going to be joining and watching along, that the market is still strong, but things have changed and are changing right now. And one of the questions that I'm getting a lot is from people who are wanting to get approved, wanting to look to buy. What does this mean for me? What does it look like? Or if I had an approval, but I was maybe a lower score, things like that. Can I still buy a house? So talk to me, Gail, a little bit about what's
Okay.
going on with mortgage rates and
Mhm.
mortgage products and
Sure.
all of that.
Okay. The lenders, the people who buy mortgages on Wall Street, they buy blocks of mortgages, and they're a little suspicious, cautious right now because of what's going on with people being laid off and people wanting to. There's been some misinformation about, hey, you don't have to make payments anymore. You can skip 6 payments,
Right.
and ultimately the investor still has to be paid by these mortgage companies, and so
Yeah.
and then and ultimate investors are getting shy about buying them, and that's going to make our rates go up. That's going to cut marginal people who, yes, I can get you pre-approved. You are pre-approved. You were barely pre-approved. The barely is moving to not barely anymore. Okay, we got to see that you are totally stably employed,
Mhm.
that you have that income, because income, your pre-approval is based on income. Are you going to be laid off soon? How stable is your job in your industry? We're looking at everything, and things are changing daily. We're having sometimes three rate changes a day.
Wow.
So if somebody's pre-approved and for a certain, I usually say you're pre-approved for 200 grand, don't go above it. Well, if rates go up, that 200 grand might move down to 195. So if they're pushing their limits, they got to be really careful.
Mhm.
And call me right before you make an offer, make sure it still works for you.
Sure. So now, what about? I just read something today that in the month of April, a third of people didn't pay their rent.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, a lot of times, you and I have worked with folks that are looking at being first-time home buyers, wanting to be first-time home buyers. What what's going to happen for somebody maybe in that place if they've been struggling, or
Mm-hmm.
maybe their job is still there, but the hours have been cut, and so they said, okay, we're not getting evicted if we didn't pay the rent. What's going to happen if they go to apply, though?
Well, we have to see current pay stubs, and we do up until the day before closing. We do a job verification again. Are they still working there? And it may turn into a few hours before closing that our underwriter calls and says, the processor calls to do a re-verification of employment to make sure they're still working full time. So that's very important. There's been some bad advice. Heard one realtor putting on social media that, hey, buy a house now, rates are really low, and then you can skip. You won't have any payments for several months. That's very irresponsible. Even the people who get a forbearance of their payments for a few months, at the end of this, and there will be an end, all those payments are going to be owed back. And sometimes immediately they may let you stretch it over a few months, but you're not just getting a free ride, because the ultimate investor that buys mortgages, they have to be paid.
Right. Now, explain that too, that word forbearance, because
Mhm.
that's not a word that a lot of
Yeah,
people
right.
understand. And a lot of people have thought that that means that if I do this, then that payment's just wiped out, and that's
Mhm.
not what it is. So explain that to them.
Maybe an analogy is people who uh, are in student loan and they get those uh, delayed, so they don't have to make payments for a while. It's still going up. The amount they borrowed is going up because the interest is accruing on that. They still got to pay it and more. The day of reckoning will come. Okay, so on the forbearance is where if you prove you've really been affected by this, they may say, okay, you can skip 3 payments, up to 6 payments. But most mortgage companies, nearly all of them, maybe a few select small banks that are going to require you to pay that back as soon as you go back to work. As soon as this COVID thing is over, it's all owed back, and within 1 to 3 months. Or I don't know. Nobody's been here before, so we don't know what rules there will be, but it will be paid back. I've heard of one small bank that's letting them skip the payments, and they're just putting the payments on the end of the loan. That's the small bank that lends their own money. And so, but that's to be determined too. It's bank by bank, but pretty much in the mortgage industry, it's going to have to be paid back.
So what could happen then is if you skip 3 payments, for
Mm-hmm.
instance, you could be making double or triple payments when everything's
Yeah.
over and it comes.
Yes. Any way you can, if you can make that payment, whether you've got to get into savings, and it's scary because you're running out of cash possibly. I mean, you got to do what you got to do to feed your family and survive, and we all understand that. But it's going to have to be paid back, and I'm I'm afraid to see what's going to happen. What are the unintended consequences of this down the road with
Right.
people, losing their homes or something. It's just you gotta it's tough. We've never been here before, and I don't look back often, but I'm looking forward to looking back on this.
Yeah, it's one of those things where it's a great thing if you're really, really struggling and need it to help you right now, but
Mhm.
there's no such thing as a free ride, right?
There's not. No.
Now, let's flip gears a little bit and talk about the good side. What are some of the opportunities
Mhm.
right now
Well,
in the market if somebody's looking to buy a house?
well. First of all, the interest rates. They're a little different than what you hear on the news. When the Feds dropped their rates, it did not automatically drop mortgage rates. They actually bounced up a little bit, and we had the first week of March had the lowest rates I've ever had, but it was only for a 4-day window. And then they bounced back up to near 4 for a week or so. And then they've been a yo-yo ever since. Today, I locked a loan at the lowest rate for a 30-year fix I've ever locked in my life. But tomorrow it may be back up in the mid to high threes. We don't know. And so when I quote a rate to somebody, some of my refinance people, I tried to get them to lock a few back in the first week, and it's going to go lower. Channel 19 or whatever told me it's going to go lower. I'm going to wait. And all of a sudden, sorry, you missed that window of opportunity.
Mhm.
So they're on my watch list now. If rates do drop, I'm calling. But when I quote a rate, it's for right this minute because it could change in 10 minutes without warning. And I've been doing this 20 years, and I've taken pride in watching the market, watching the mortgage-backed securities by the minute, and knowing when it's time to lock or it's time to wait and not lock yet. Knowing when to lock is important. But right now, I can't guess it. When I see signs that say we might get a rate decrease in a minute, and all of a sudden we get a rate increase. We can't figure it out. So we just take it minute by minute.
Mhm. Now, for somebody again who's looking at first-time home buyer, maybe they don't have a whole lot of cash to put
Mhm.
down. What kinds of things can they look to take
Oh,
advantage of
yeah.
as
I'd
well?
say a good portion, 1/3 possibly of all my clients choose to do no money down. You don't have to be a first-time home buyer to do no money down. I have up to 3 good, possibly 4 programs that you can do with no money down. Some of them require you to be in a certain area of town.
Sure.
One of them is obviously the VA loan for veterans. That's the best loan going. The USDA loan, no money down. It's the same payment usually as somebody that's not in the USDA area putting 5% down because of the PMI, the way the PMI is handled. So, you know, I was talking to a lady this week, and she is going to sell her house and take the 40 grand she's netting from the sale of her house and put it all down on this next house, which is wonderful, you know. But she told me, oh, and after we close, I'm going to go buy a van, a new SUV. I go, what are you going to spend? She goes, 40 grand. I'm going, you know, so both of your payments when you finance the van and the house with 40 grand down are going to be like 1,500 bucks a month. Now, it's just one of your options. I'm like a menu at a restaurant. I'm just the server here. I'm just the waiter. But what if you put very little money down and paid cash for the van? Then your total house payment went up 150 bucks, but your total debt went down 400 a month.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so it's up to her. Everybody has their own strategy, and I'm just here to give you advice and show you a menu of options and help you make it the wise decision for your financial situation. Everybody's different. Some people should do a 15-year fixed. Most first-time home buyers do a 30-year fixed. People on commission usually do a 30, even if they want to pay it off in 15, and they'll say, I want to do the 30, but tell me how much extra to send in each month so I want to be on track for 15, you know. And so I love helping people, but sometimes putting no money down is the smartest thing. And you'd be surprised, Devin. A lot of these payments on no money down right now are cheaper than this house would rent out for if you were going to rent this house.
Right.
And you get the first time homebuyer tax credit, which gives you up to $2 grand back every year from now on, every year. I mean, there's so many opportunities here. The rates are great. It's a time to buy. And there's, right now, we call it a seller's market. There's really more buyers than there are homes. So if you're going to list your house with Devin, you better be packed, okay? Because this house is going to sell. And we'll get you pre-approved first. So you know, as soon as you get an offer on your house, you run out, make an offer on another one, you know, and we close on the same day, just an hour apart. Sell your house by the next. It's fun, isn't it, Devin?
It is. Well, and to make your point about it being a seller's market, I mean, we have a client together that I wrote an offer on this weekend. We were the fourth offer in. We went over their asking price on the house, and we still lost.
No, crazy.
So, I mean,
They'll just auction them off, huh?
that's the way the market is for real. Yeah, I tell people all the time when I'm doing initial buyer consultations, you know, I'll ask them if they're renting, you know, how much are you paying in rent? Because I like to be able to kind of tell them, okay, you know, here's about, I'm not the lender. Talk to Gale, right? Talk to the lender, but here's about what that's going to look like. I've done this enough that I can kind of in the ballpark.
Today, I pre-approved somebody, Devin. How much do you pay in rent? $1,100. Just so happens they qualified for a new home about $1,100, and I backed that into where they were going to buy with that tax rate for that house. Their total payment on $1,100 bought them $170,000 house. Okay, so I say your rent payment can buy you a $170,000 house with no money down.
Right. Well, I mean, I tell people all the time, I have a 4-bedroom house, 2-story house, 2-car garage, backyard, and I don't pay $1,000 a month.
Isn't that crazy?
You know, and a lot of times people just don't know that because they think, well, that's just how it's supposed to be. But that's where, you know, we can partner together to help them. I can help them find the house, but you help them understand what their money can actually do, because a lot of people don't know.
Oh, owning your own home is such a blessing. It's such a thrill. When people, I tell them you're pre-approved, and they really realize I can buy a house. And you know how it is when they get the keys, when they sign it at closing, get the keys. And I've seen people cry just like, oh my God, I can't believe it. Thank you. You know, it's such I love what I do. This is such a fun job. And I thank God every day I got this profession because I love helping people.
Absolutely. Well, hey, if somebody wants to talk to you about their options, how do they get a hold of you?
Well, my number's unlisted. No, I'm just joking. I'm at 859-802-4903, 802-4903. Only work half a day, about 9 to 9. You know, it's busy. I love doing it. So I'm looking forward to talking to you. You know, of course, let's just talk on the phone first. If you want to meet in person, great. I'm on Buttermilk Pike. Some people want to go click and apply on my website, and you can do that. But I'm here to, we don't have to meet. We meet like this, share my screens and show people all the different ideas on loan programs, how much they qualify for and why. I try not to use shop talk. I try to keep it simple. I usually put it in a video back to them so they can rewatch it, because somebody's going to ask them what I said and they're going to go, I can't repeat but here, watch the video. This will help you understand why I'm doing what I'm doing and what my options were. And they go, you're right. I like option number 2 here. We are going to put 3% down, or we're going to put no money down. But yes, 859-802-4903, Gale Grant.
And in this time where we're not able to get together like we normally do, you're doing these consultations, like you just said, through Zoom or other means as well, so they can still look at your face, hear your words, and see their options, right?
Yes. And a lot of people are just too busy anyway. And so it's wonderful to have technology, but you get somebody that's not in a office module up in Minneapolis or some other state. You get somebody right here that knows Kentucky specific loans or Cincinnati area specific loans, and knows the tax rates, and knows, a lot of times we have somebody, I'm sure you have people at co-ops pre-approved by some online person in another state, a long ways. And then you let me talk to them, and I said, well, did they tell you about this? No. Did they tell you about this? Did they tell you about the first time home buyer tax credit? No, because they just do chocolate and vanilla only, but we have 32 flavors.
So. Absolutely. No, I absolutely agree with you. Well, thank you so much for your time, sir.
Thank you for letting me.
And hopefully this will help some folks. And again, if you got any questions, Gale, share your number one more time.
Gale Grant. Need a home, get a grant. 859-802-4903. Look forward to talking to you.
Awesome. And I'm 859-962-7978. If we can help you, we are here to do just that. Thank you, sir. Have a great one.
Thank you. See you. Bye-bye.